All right, everyone, welcome to Real Talk Live, where the talk is always real and we are always live. Characters are cartoons, views here expressed are not necessarily the views of anyone. Um, Here we go. Today we're going to talk about some martial arts, and it should be a good discussion. We may do this as question Q&A, or we may do this as a friendly discussion, but I promise it is not going to be what you're used to hearing. Um, Unless your sensei or sifu is really good, like really good, it's not going to be. Um, there, yeah, you're not going to have heard maybe some of these things before. The whole point is to keep it real and also bring you something fresh and unique based off of truth and experience. So here we go. I am White Musashi, and this is Easter D Bunny, and we are in the sewer. So, where would you like to start this? What did you have in mind? You were the one that had specifically uh, recommended the topic. It is a topic
Uh,
of my life. So,
Um, I think the best reason to learn martial arts is so nobody is able to bother you again.
I think that is the first reason many people learn martial arts. It is specifically fear based. If it isn't culturally influenced, it's specifically fear based. For me, it was fear based and culturally influenced. It was both. It was both because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a GI Joe and a Ninja Turtle, and I about did it in the human form, in the real world. So, but when I dedicated my life to it and had conscious awareness of what I was doing, that's when everything, yeah, that's when everything changed. But it was fear based, absolutely fear based, and career based. Military had inspired that direction even further by showing it's a genuine possibility to go this route, and because the military is the true martial art. It's not the UFC. It's the military, and it's always been that way. Same thing. Why
Talk
does
about
the country build a military? Is so they don't get bothered. So then there again, you're right.
talk about how it creates values and how it builds a value frame.
That's deep because it will completely structure the unstructured. Most monks are what would be, I guess, kind of regarded as I'm not going to say bad kids. That's the easy word to use, but like ADD kids, rebellious, independent thinkers, a little bit wild, apt to get in some fights, things of that nature. So these values that come with martial arts, for one, you have to train them, you have to earn them, for them to live through you and not just know that they exist. And in that, it forges virtue, and virtue is those values, and that comes with a sense of self-worth, because with martial arts, the effort is also expressed on your body, your strength, um, how you take care of yourself, your discipline, which I believe is the number one virtue. There is no virtue without discipline. And the ultimate discipline is self-discipline, is self-structure. So martial arts is all about that. It's all about yourself, really. It's all about yourself. There's the, okay, I don't want anybody to fuck with me anymore, and I want to be able to say what I want to say and be able to piss people off with what I want to say because I believe it's true, and not have to worry about somebody being so offended they're going to get violent with me, which that was a fantasy in my head with how I thought it would work. um it didn't work that way, but you know, in a sense, I still never stopped saying what I felt was right. I just did martial arts, and maybe it deterred many people, but then it attracted other people, you know. So you'll find in martial arts, you may want to get into it to get out of fights or get out of fighting or to win fights, but you'll find that it takes a really long time to get get truly good. You'll get confident a couple of years in, maybe a year in, but maybe even 6 months. You learn some really cool techniques, and you be like, "Wow, yeah, I could do this." But when you realize that combat is limitless, it's just the rules of physics, leverage, timing, or chemistry, depending on what level of biological, what level of martial art warfare we're going here. But it will construct that person to become what they set out to be, and they'll be able to see it. So they'll have the self confidence in them. It won't help them in the way they thought it would, but in a way they'll still get to their goal.
Talk about vengeance.
Let it be God's, let it be the universe, let it be right and righteous. Let it not come with a self-sacrifice. Let it not be criminal.
Talk about clearing your mind.
Clearing the mind, a sound mind, solid mind, starts with a centered mind and sober mind. You need to put yourself in the center of your universe first. And our Western ideologies have a lot of things about thinking. It's interesting too because we have a idea of self and individuality that we were taught, and at the same time we are taught to not be selfish, to be selfless. The As far as I'm aware, I'm not trying to pull the robot in yet, at least, of people who okay, in the West, the primary god of the West would be Jesus Christ from Yahweh. um he sacrificed himself for others, and you are to be like him. um that's a self-sacrifice. That in an individual society, a society of individuals, to have the primary focus be self-sacrifice is very counterintuitive to the focus of martial arts. The focus of martial arts is, I am going to build myself so I am harder to topple, so I am not sacrificed, so I am not the one at the other end, and if I'm at the other end, I'm the one walking away.
talk about facing challenges.
Martial arts is a series of challenges. It is nothing but challenges. Martial arts is challenges that if you are not challenging yourself, you are not practicing martial arts. You are playing. You are pretending. You might as well be doing Halloween. You might as well, with your gi on. Um, it's comical. Martial arts in and of itself is a challenge. You watch any kung fu movie, old kung fu movies, especially Shaw Brothers. Those they may look corny if somebody's not used to watching poorly dubbed or can't find the beauty in the progression of films and see these poorly dubbed films because historically they're literally breaking the barrier culturally, universally in their society to be able to make it so Westerners can view their culture. These kind of things like choke me up because they're often very past world sentiments that are designed to bring different cultures together and to share information about things that took thousands of years to be able to get to you. And they may seem corny, but it'll show you the same thing, that martial arts is nothing but a challenge, and when you dedicate your life to it, it is a constant hill climb, mountain climb, cliff climb, inverted, falling down, getting back up and keeping going. And it you do it for a lifetime, basically 10, 20 years, a career length of 100% full time, overtime, and you're blessed to be able to do it because very few people are able to actually just do martial arts. There's special circumstances involved. Um, there's a career set, background, backing, family backing. In the movie Ip Man, Donnie Yen is saying, life has its seasons. Well, when I was born, the season was summer, and all the people who were able to do martial arts were able to afford it, and it's always been that way. It's always been that way. There's a sacrifice to get in, and then there's a sacrifice all the way through, and that sacrifice is yourself, but it's you doing it to you. Nobody else is doing it to you. You're doing it to you. You're putting yourself through these challenges to be able to accomplish whatever goal it may be, whether it's a UFC belt, a black belt, a kung fu certificate, a trip to Thailand, Lumpinese Stadium, championship, or just a fight, or just to train, just to be there and shake some of these gladiators' hands. There's so many different challenges in the world of martial arts that's provided for any participant, even what's coined McDojos or what's called bullshitos. Some bullshitos are so bullshito, it's not. It's terrible. But if somebody's a person that can't even identify that it's terrible and they're living in a world of isolation, then they're being invited into a place where whether that person's a trickster or a genuine master or a stoic or they're wild and got some great hands or great techniques, they've went through the challenges to get there. So it's kind of like these martial arts movies I was telling you about. There's so many of them. There's probably hundreds of vintage Shaw Brothers martial arts films, which are basically instructionals, and they're hidden in these I guess, and they're like to watch with your modest girlfriend safe too. They're like kind of cheeky and got a sweet side to him, and all this stuff, and family values are incorporated in it. And these disciplines, these challenges, they give these you'll have this different master, and he's got to do these different things, and he's got to balance on this stuff, and he's got to hold these things out, and then he hold his arms out, with water jugs on him or something. And then through his stress, you see he's stressing, he's sweating, maybe he's bleeding a little bit, he's hurt, and then he realizes why he's doing it. Oh, because I've had to switch from leg to leg on pole to pole, and holding these cups in my hand with water in them, that's the only way I can drink. Well, now I have all this crazy balance. My arms are so strong, and then here's the technique that the master wanted to teach me, because I wasn't strong enough to do it before. I had to do these challenges in practice to be able to do it. Now I can. Then you get usually a little token, certificate of your effort, but that certificate of the effort for the challenge completed is from that school specifically. So that school says, okay, you have now earned this stripe on your white belt. Very good. Now to the next challenge. And that's how martial arts, in a Western, actually a truly Western sense, because this whole thing about belts and all that, karate and all that's after the Edo period. That's after the Karate Federation, Jichin Funakoshi, unified Japan. After World War II, we got Elvis practicing martial arts with a black belt that went down past his knees. So, that he was getting this, doing the little challenges. And if you watch Elvis on stage, he's doing his front kicks and throwing his punches. Those came from his challenges that he put himself through to be able to learn. And martial arts, there's all kinds of paths you can take, all kinds of different teachers, good, bad, bad men, great fighters, it's all in there. And then there's great men and great fighters. And then there's heroes that you'll find are still merely men. They're also dudes, or women. And there's a lot of fantastic female martial arts practitioners.
Talk about fear of death.
Well, the fear of death is a healthy fear because it's the unknown. So it's not a phobia to fear death. It's totally healthy, but finding resolve in life by letting go of the curiosity of death, and to do so as much with truth. Many people feel, I believe, a need for a resolve with this issue. So since there is no truly scientific or logical, meaning quantitative resolve for this matter yet, then there is an inevitable unknown for all in existence. So being a human, we're aware of that. So finding an appreciation for life is the best way to rid oneself of fear of death, to rid oneself of the binds of this world that hold on to your spirit in darkness. So to let go of one's social persona being their dictating guide for all aspects of their life, or letting go of their lies that they've been told, thought about themselves, or told to others, to reconcile their soul, to consider the matters of action that will last with them impacting negatively up into or all the way through to death, these are the true matters of you're going to heaven or hell, because you'll either die with resolve or relief and peace, or you will die with fear and conviction and hate not for death, but hate for the life that you had lived or the person had lived. So this is where that as a child and as a young man, to as a young man, it's actually kind of weird to fear death because we don't have our frontal lobe hasn't developed yet. So we do a bunch of stupid shit, and not expecting to die because we're young. I've had very many close encounters with death, and had reacted or responded and observed and survived because here I am. Um, many times, as I think everybody who's mature on this planet has had to react or respond to a situation to survive, and you know facing death. Martial arts is a lot about facing death. Ultimately, is about facing death because martial in and of itself means to kill, means killing, and art, as we already know, means aesthetically pleasing creation. It's an art. It's something beautiful that takes time to refine. It's a skill that becomes an individual expression. So you put all that together. This is why there's so many spiritual aspects tied to martial arts, and so much spiritual study, and so much about self-discipline and reserve and holding back. Because if a person is actually skilled at martial arts, these are the most peaceful people on planet Earth. Why? Because they've got skills to just break anybody when they are upset that isn't as skilled as they are or near their level, outclassed, unfair fight. And they can dismantle, not meaning they can't lose to somebody. Anybody can get hit hard enough and in the right spot by somebody who's strong enough. But the advantage and the odds are ridiculous. So they have to hold back with their apt and ability for physical violence, and resort to diplomacy, resort to other ways when they're personally upset, and have to find either and a healthy location to practice, to exert that energy, to express those skills pertaining to matters of life and death, because that's what martial arts is about: practicing mind, body, spirit, matters of life and death. Put all that together, and martial arts can help somebody rid their fear of death through spiritual practices in cleaning their own spirit, cleaning the dirt out of it from planet Earth, right? The bullshit that they carry with their spirit. That's the stuff that really matters. Is the stuff that is going to physically, mentally affect your chemistry and mind frame at and nearing the time of your death. That's why martial artists don't fear it. Well, the good ones. Bad ones might. That's why they fight so frantic. Doesn't mean to welcome death either. It doesn't mean to ask for it. It doesn't mean to play with it. It's about it's kind of an insurance policy. It's risk valorization. It's respecting that the world is dangerous, that there are people that will try to kill you based off their emotions, and they are mostly weak and incapable people. So a martial artist needs to be strong and capable, and strong in the mind, because most of it's about the mind. And then when it comes to matters of fear of death, well, that's all in the mind until you're there, and you're seeing, an artery bleed and wishing you brought a tourniquet or whatever. it's all a mental game. There's a lot of physical pain involved, but overcoming fear of death, yeah, that's a mental game, and moral jumping jacks and sensations of emotion, and how an individual feels their purpose in life has been satisfied, or if they even came to a point of purpose, meaning, or reason for being, let alone all three: purpose, meaning, and reason for being. Martial arts helps with all of that, all of it.
Talk about becoming centered.
It's huge. It's huge. So, martial arts is good to start with the physical, then the mental, then the spiritual. So, physical centering: feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, one foot either slightly forward, right next to each other, slightly behind, knees pointed out, pelvis slightly forward, spine straightened, shoulders not curled forward or pulled back, but centered and down, pulled slightly down. That's allowing your arms to relax in the weight of your arms instead of holding them with your neck. It's allowing the weight of your arms to relax, and then breathing into the pit of your stomach. Having your neck erect like there's a string tied to the back of your skull and a balloon pulling your head up. So between that, with the knees bent, pelvis forward, almost like you're sitting in a chair a little bit, shoulders, head up like that. Oh yeah, move around like a Terminator, and it feels good. You just line yourself up like that. So daily, not daily, and I guess it's less nowadays because it's been turned into how I move, but I still do it. Correct my posture into perfect posture to be centered physically at all times. So mentally is it's easy. Look at both sides of the equation. Use both hemispheres of your brain. Look at both sides of any equation. Look at the yin, look at the yang. Fire and water still make steam. So look at the outcomes of things. Utilize the simple principles of the I Ching. Computers do. Computers do. Same math. So they said that the I Ching could predict all 10,000 things, all possibilities. There's nothing that it can't figure out. People were playing with sticks, calculating this stuff. Our computers use it. So the mind, there's plenty to explore with centering in the mind. So using your logic, using both sides of your brain to do it. So strengthen your intake and output, strengthen your different memories, um, different types of memories, your short term, your long term. Um, Put your centered brain into centered action with your centered body, and your spirit will follow. Spirit is not matters of things that you direct, but like a garden, you can the soils can change. It can either be by you or by others. You can nurture it, or it can end up poisoned. It can be poisoned. That ground can no longer is no good. It has to serious psychological reconstruction has to take place if it gets too damaged. So centering, being centered in the mind, knowing um, what to do, what's going to happen, how to respond, how to react, and put that body to action. But the spirit is passive. The spirit is passive. The spirit is a response to. You can give the spirit a better chance at what the mind and body think would be good, and the spirit can nurture the body by sensation of we like this, we don't like this, we want to go this direction, we don't want to go that direction, things of that nature. The spirit is a sign. is signs of what the mind and body are doing, what the mind and body are looking for, looking forward to, or what's bothering them. What are the actual dangers going on? The spirit is a state of being for, yeah, is a sign of the state of being, and the state of being is the mind and the body. So yeah. And the spirit is non-tangible, and the only way that the spirit can be refined is through these efforts, of centering the mind and body.
Talk to me about when it comes to combat.
Yeah, yeah.
If it comes down to it, tell me about when your hands are tied and you have to do it. Let's talk about killing somebody. When you're confronted with the matter of life and death, what happens with your value frame at that point?
I mean, there's other people that would be maybe more suited for the topic, but what I think about it is only if it's necessary. Only if it's necessary. Maybe it's the Taoist in me, and the parable of Genghis Khan, and this Taoist tells him, don't kill any more than you have to do this, and it's purely for self-preservation, should be, and then secondary for the preservation of others. And after that, it's that's called murder, and
Well, when we talk about it, it's like in the form of an obstacle, though, when we talk about killing somebody, because it's not like you're wanting to do it. It's just that you have to.
yeah, I mean, I'd look at laws. I'd look at laws in matters of self-defense.
Okay, what if it's an unlawful matter? Because they happen a lot.
As in somebody's being like
somebody could be getting raped. It doesn't matter what it is. If there's something coming up and you're confronted with the obstacle that it is,
okay,
and there's
I think
completely
I got you.
unlawful matter, and you have to take life into your own hands that way, because it's nothing but a matter of life and death. If you do not take this person out, they're gonna fucking kill you.
Okay, so outside of for one, anything and all things said here, I am not an attorney, police officer. This is not legal advice. Okay, so the point of getting good at martial arts is you've got the stages of violence, and that is hurt, maim, and kill. Hurt being the lowest form of violence, maiming being the middle ground of, okay, this is serious, and this person had to be maimed to get them to stop. So that's when real fighting comes in. You're fighting like an animal, grabbing somebody's face with four fingers in their eye sockets, type of fighting. And the point is not to kill. The point is to get them to stop. And if you're going into the situation with the intention to kill, it's not, I can't say that it's the wrong mind frame, because this may become an outcome, so it needs to be accepted without hesitation. Knowing if the matter is a matter of your own morality that is driving this mortal situation, to actually become a matter of your own hands, i.e., looking for trouble, coming up with an excuse or a reason to take another human being's life. Um, Martial arts is about being able to, a person who's not very trained is more likely, in my opinion, and when I say not very trained, I'm not talking about trained at the gym and they're good, or maybe they've been to a few jujitsu classes, spent a couple of years, messing around with those guys kind of thing. But I'm talking about really trained, life dedicated, self disciplined. They've already been through whatever gauntlets and have whatever accolades, whether it's jujitsu, Muay Thai, karate. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wrestling, it really boxing, and so on. Those guys are safer at dealing with a combative or potentially combative situation without killing the person than somebody who's semi-trained, halfway trained, kind of trained, because they can take a violent person that's trying to either maim or kill somebody and merely hurt them or hardly hurt them, just take them off balance to get them to stop, put them on the ground. But you're talking about it as severely violent situation. If somebody is say, conducting as a hard R, well, they're not in a very combative situation to anybody for the exception of the victim. So anybody else who's coming to save the day is not, unless they are a non-combatively trained person, they're not going to have to come stick them in the side of the neck. They're just going to have to put a sleeper hold on them or whatever it may be, kick them off, or give them a couple of taps and lock up an arm and restrain them until authorities get there or whatever. And I don't know if that's legal to do in whatever state. Like I already said, this isn't legal advice, but this is, reaction in the moment, at the spot, trying to do the right thing, and somebody loses their life. If somebody loses their life in a situation like this, in a non-warfare situation, then something has gone terribly wrong. And if you are a martial artist and you have found yourself in a situation where somebody has lost their life at your hands, you are now facing all kinds of stuff, all kinds of potentially a murder charge. It won't be I did this and the cops give you a pat on the back. It'll be, I did this. Okay, we're going to have to take you into custody, blah, 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 and you will go into custody. My advice, don't say anything but to a lawyer. Literally nothing but to a lawyer. If you find yourself in a situation where you take a person's life, you stay there. If you did it with a weapon, you disarm yourself. You contact the police yourself. And then when the police get there, give them your ID. Tell them I understand I'm likely being detained. I would like to speak to my attorney, please. And then that's it. You literally do not say a word about anything. Don't tell them about the weather. Don't tell them about your family, what you were trying to do, where you were going to go, how you would like this to be resolved as soon as possible. Don't tell them anything. And that's how you do it, because it's ultimately about protecting yourself. And if you're in America or anywhere, most likely, or civilized society, and you're thinking about being a hero and the thought is to kill the person, you're not in the right position to be a hero.
What about torturing people?
I mean, that'll wind you in prison forever, right?
Not like that. I mean, mentally torturing them. We've seen it together. What about mental torture?
Yeah, psychological warfare. People use it all the time in a civilized world. More people are trained at psychological warfare than are trained at physical combat. In
Prostitutes.
what's that?
Prostitutes come to mind, but you know.
Well, I mean, the weak come to mind. For me, the weak come to mind. The weak and the primitive.
That would be kind of like, yeah, what I'm referring to, I suppose.
It is that, yeah. It's a good. It's a you know, yeah, you know, weak, primitive. You know, there's weak and primitive men too. But here's what I'm getting at with it is people that are incapable or less capable in vocal articulation for expression of their own sensations and experience in life, be it sounds out of control or not, sounds radical or not, they can speak about it. They have the words to say. If they don't have the words, they might go violent. If they're weak, the other thing is when it comes to the psychological warfare, psychological torture aspect, weak people, since they can't stand confident and strong that they can handle themselves physically, then they become really sneaky. And since they can't, you know, physically do anything to anybody, they're harmless, then they think that they can attack people psychologically. And they do all the time. And they do all the time. All the time. It happens every day. And yeah, you know, you said prostitutes, women, you know, yeah, specifically, but I've just narrowed it down to weak people. Yeah. Weak, undisciplined people, when they're angry, will lash out in primitive ways, and it makes them dangerous. What makes martial arts so effective when it comes to self-defense is most people that are lashing out violently, they may look strong, but they're not strong. They may look, they're not disciplined. They're at least not disciplined. So discipline goes a long ways, especially with martial arts practice. So now the weak person's lashing out, they're being violent, they're doing crazy things, they're going after weaker people than them. So as a martial artist, you can handle the situation without feeling threatened. So, you know, you don't have to go overboard with it, you know.
A hypothetical here. Let's say everything gets stolen from you, your life savings, you know, just a hypothetical, somebody steals everything from you, then what?
Contact a lawyer. That's the kind of stuff that you need. Okay, check this out. You have to know. You have to know your arena. You have to know your arena. If you do not know your arena, you will get messed up. You have to know your arena. There is no question about this. You have to know your arena. If you are not, what's that?
Yeah. After knowing your arena, then what?
Then you handle it in the proper arena. Then you handle it in the proper arena. And this sounds like a legal matter, so you would need an attorney. And you find a good fighter, and you find a good fighter. You find if you are not trained and require masterful levels in an arena, then you need to hire a warrior for that fight. You cannot.
What if you have to go outside law and order? Yeah, no. What if it's not you wanting to? What if they're making it an issue and you have to go outside of law and order?
Look, you are talking to a 100% dedicated to my nation as if I were programmed for it. I do not go outside of law and order for personal matters. On top of that, I am too trained to even think about going outside of law and order for personal matters, emotional reflex or response with my ability for physical violence at all. That's why I don't even drink, because I've got too many things that could piss me off that are already pissing me off in my life.
You'll beat the shit out of somebody.
It's possible that I'm not,
Yeah.
it's possible I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm going to make sure that it, just as I should, as with the degrees that I have in martial arts, that is to make sure that I'm safe, legally, specifically, and that anybody else who's just being a dickhead, he's just being a dickhead, that I don't taunt him to come and try to attack me. Yeah, but I learned a lot, you know. I've learned a lot from being punched by women, having women try to punch me, you know, at random, being sucker punched multiple as an adult, and I didn't provoke them. They just didn't like my rejection.
Yeah.
So you know, I've had to deal with that as peacefully as possible, as causing not only little harm, causing no harm. The only discomfort was the pride that they felt. Now they can't hit me. Now they can't hit me. I didn't have to strike them. I didn't have to do anything. Didn't have to put my hands on their neck. Didn't have to do anything. Said to hold them. Hold their arms. Stop hitting me. You don't get to do that. So that's what martial arts is for, is to be able to handle situations easier. It's about avoiding making the situation harder. It's the path of least resistance. It's how to get in a situation where all these arrows are flying at you, be they physical or spiritual, you know, and they're not hitting. They're not hitting. People are trying to take you out. People are trying to discredit you. People are coming after you, crawling out from under rocks. What's supposed to be a business agreement or a personal agreement is now tampered with. Situations are changed. People are backstabbing, plotting against you, hate you secretly. All these things, and you cannot use that violence unless they come to your arena by agreement. It has to be consensual. If you are a martial artist, it has to be consensual or necessary. And as a martial artist, unless you are up against somebody serious or a situation that is serious, we're talking about there is gunfire, there is a knife, and the person is running after and cutting people, level serious, to require, and even then what ends up happening, you get your hands on somebody who's trying to cause that harm. Do you know how much effort it would take to have to end that person's life? It's going to make the martial artist, quote unquote, look bad and out of control. Part of the reason is people that don't know what they're doing, say they're stabbing, they're going to stab 30 times, you know. A martial artist doesn't need to. He can make one cut 100 stitches, maybe more. Stuff like that. He can take it and put that knife in one spot at the same time and make a centimeter incision that only goes a couple centimeters in, and the person is done. So, you know, it's things like that. It's about the preservation of life, and in that we all die. But to take someone's life means that there are other lives at stake and not just one. It means that there is an overwhelming situation, that this person is so powerful that they cannot be stopped without deadly force.
Okay. See. Well, you know, what's coming to mind right now, I kind of wouldn't mind pausing the recording part on my end and talking to you about some other personal things that are coming to mind.
That's fine. I'm on Real Talk, so yeah, go ahead.
Well, the problem is that if people are hearing this, I'm going to start saying things that I probably don't want to be on record saying too. But maybe I'll just type it down and ask you about it later.
Yeah, do that. Dark arts.
Yeah.
What's in the subconscious? What's in people's creative mind and capabilities? That's for fantasy. Unless you want to lose your life. I had written a fantasy novel, and that's it. And here's another thing: is people get too loose on how they talk about martial arts and what they'll do to their enemies and with their enemies, and you don't know until you've actually dealt with it, until you've actually dealt with things that you've said that aren't even a threat, but they are intimidating. And because you're a capable person, it doesn't look like you're throwing a fit. It looks like there is a dangerous person that is going to come after you, whether that was your intention or not. So this is how I really live. This isn't satirical, the capabilities of things that I can do are so well documented that there's not a chance that I'm going to do any of them for my own personal motive. When I was younger, I used to play with people in a legal way. Washington State, mutual combat, there's a martial arts and street fight culture. I used to be a part of it. So with that, we still weren't trying to kill each other. We were just maybe a knockout, but if you were doing it inside of the culture, you usually likely weren't going to get stomped out after you were knocked out. MMA had caused, I believe, a little bit of a stir with it, with basically requiring a referee to get you to stop. Back then, people just knew when you were knocked out. But you have to be legal first and foremost. You want to know about, like legal self-defense. I believe the guy's name's like Musad Ayub. He's like killed a whole bunch of people in New York. He's basically a serial killer. He's written a book. He keeps getting away with it on how to do it. But if you want to talk about actually in the real world, and you're not trying to go to prison, there's a certain way that all this knowledge on destruction is managed. And it's by being peaceful. It's by being so self-disciplined that your emotions are saying, nature is saying, do it, you can, if you want. God is saying it's justified. If you want to live your regular life or live a good life, you can't have both. You can't have both. You make that decision, you can't have both.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Right now, with what we're talking about, where my mind's going, I kind of don't have questions right this second because my mind's kind of feeding off of what you said. And we have almost an hour here. So if it's cool, I kind of want to take a break for a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, we can come back to it, but yeah.
I'll do the outro here.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Shit, where'd it go? Where'd it go? I lost the outro. Oh no. There it is.
That's still a pretty good hour's worth of work there.
Yeah, it ain't fucking splash in the ocean.
What's that?
It ain't a splash in the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm a library of martial arts, man. History, techniques, philosophy, principles, mindset,
Yeah.
multiple degrees from one of the most reputable schools in history.
Yeah, but I need to tell you like a story though. I have to sit down with you and get a second opinion on some of the shit with this story that I've got, because